You ever read the Bible, Brett? Hello, buddies! You're watching Medley with Maria and Dawson. Welcome to another episode of Decrypting Movies. And in this episode, we're gonna decrypt the cult classic masterpiece. Let me just bring up the cover. Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, and it's obviously I kind of refrain from doing popular movies, but this is a fan request from Sirno, one of MWM subscribers and viewers, and he requested me to do Tarantino movies, and I thought, why not? My next short film is releasing, which is inspired, completely from this cult classic masterpiece of Tarantino, Pulp Fiction. So let's talk about this movie. All right. Yes, let me just check my audio. Yes, audio is good. So, Pulp Fiction is a crime, thriller, suspense, drama. You could call many genres. It's a mix of different genres. Suddenly takes a twisting turn, but then at one point of time it takes a dramatic, romantical genre as well. So it's just you can see that when you watch the movie, you would feel that whoever wrote it or whoever directed it and whoever has played it, I mean the casting and whoever was part of this movie was absolutely joyful when they were making this movie. So they had enjoyed themselves making this movie. That is very clearly evident in the film, and it's if you see for a movie, for any good movie, they will try to convey a story in it. But here, they would have just showed you characters, and the storyline would be mixed up. Past, present, and future would be mixed up. And at the end of the movie, you would kind of stitch together everything, and you will understand the story. The viewers, the audience will try to interpret and make the story themselves. So the whole movie is about different characters, the characters which are contrasting and has some diversity in them, and it's kind of idiosyncratic. You do not kind of see those characters in your personal life as well, but then all these peculiar characters are put together in a movie, and just pure classic. That's the main highlight of the movie. So I think the story is kind of simple, right? So there's that guy who's a very fearful and intimidating boss, and he has to hitman, and then there's this guy called Boxer. So there is all these characters are just crossing over, and when they cross over, what's happening, right? And all these characters are very interesting. So if you see Hitman, Samuel Jackson and Vincent Vega, uh, John Travolta actually his name. See, I tend to remember the actual character name. So Samuel Jackson and John Travolta are kind of buddies, buddies in criminal, and their boss is the McAllis, I think the character name. McAllis has a wife. She's kind of interesting too. And then we have the boxer who is a very good and popular actor, Bruce Willis, and then his girlfriend, and then there is like a cameo done by, I kind of forgot his name. So he comes in as a cleaner guy, where if something happens with dead bodies, he kind of cleans up and comes the dead bodies, and he's in a suit. He's like ordering people, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. He kind of like a proper organized cleaner, dry what do you call it, dry cleaning laundry. He does it so smooth, and in like 2 hours he cleans up the mess. So even that small interesting segment, it makes amusing, it kind of amusing to watch it. So I kind of want to highlight that. So this whole movie is not about a story or about a character. What is his motive, who is the protagonist, who is the antagonist, and what is the conflict between them, and what is the motive for the protagonist. It's not like that linear curve trying to follow a single characters. So Tarantino has created many characters here, 5 6 interesting characters, and when their path crosses in their normal day-to-day life, what happens is what he has portrayed in this movie. So it's like a hardly 6 or 7 scenes, and 2.5 hours movie, you get to see 6 or 7 scenes, and the order of the storyline, it's not linear, so it's been jumbled, so that you tend to understand the backstories later point, and it's kind of intelligent, right? It's like craft making. You kind of make the audience feel intelligent after watching this movie. Yeah? So after watching this movie, you will feel that okay, this was the story, and these two were the bodyguards or hitmen of this guy called Boss, and the boss comes at the last, and there's an interesting segment between the boss and the boxer, Bruce Willis. So one thing is certain that with this kind of jumbled narrative, you can keep the audience hooked, and that's what he has done. And he's not letting us know what's going to happen next. So he has showed a future event, but even though it is happening in the past, we are not sure what's going to happen. We will only know that these guys will live in the future, but right now what's going to happen we do not know. and and because of this, so this straight away the movie begins in a very highly elevated tone. There's going to be a robbery in a motel, highway motel, and they're not showing how it's going to happen. So these two boyfriend and girlfriend, they decide on the spot. They are having food in the motel, and they decide to, let's say we rob this motel, and they start taking their guns out and like, I'm gonna rob this motel, just shut the fucking up. And that's where the movie begins, imagine. So it's a very high note, and it's like already you're on the hook. Oh man, it's gonna be a robbery, and straight away he doesn't show like what happened after that. They decided to rob, so what's gonna happen next? No, they cut to a past where these two hitmen are like having a job, and he goes them. So it's like he has defined characters, and the whole movie is about how these characters are exposed, like why they are wearing these costumes, and what kind of nature these character has, attributes, what they prefer. So there is many scenes where they just talk about random things like cheeseburgers, and where countries where weed is legal, and police doesn't have it's illegal for the police to check your car for weed. So it's like random mediocre conversations happening, but it's so interesting between when it's happening between these characters. You tend to be kind of fascinated, and as I said, the highlight of the movie is the non-linear narrative structure, and he has gone to everything, right? So 6 to 7 scenes in one scene. If he has gone with a thriller genre, another scene he has taken his time. There is this dance scene which is really famous and classic. Dance scene between John Travolta and the wife of Wallace, the boss. So that's classic. So that's there. It tends to get romantic, and then there's a surprise, and then there'll be a scene where suspense is the genre. So you kind of mixed it up with everything, and that's what you tend to get, like a complete package. It's entertaining, wholesome entertainment movie, and you get to see thrilling incidents, suspense incidents, and twists, romance, unexpected events turning out. So it's like a wholesome package, and all these movies, right? We have come to know that right from the first movie. I think Reservoir Dogs. Before Reservoir Dogs, he directed a couple of uncredited movies, but Reservoir Dogs was his main movie, and even in that movie, you can feel the difference. And all his Tarantino movies will be rich and caring in the costumes, and you can see everybody has a costume in this movie. So Mr. Wallace has that white shirt, and these two guys are wearing this suits, hitman bodyguards, what do you say, criminal hitmen. They're wearing suits, and then this boxer. So for every character has a costume. That's also delightful to watch, and you kind of it stays in your mind. And the character names, the way they interact between themselves, it tends to get etched in your hearts. And I should credit, I mean, most of the performance, it's absolutely wonderful, but then it should be credited to the writing, the way he wrote the characters and the way they performance. They could have performed only if the character is so good, right? And I think it's one of the movies that launched Samuel Jackson's career. And before that, he was just what do you say, kind of character role. But in this, he was like absolutely phenomenal performance. And yeah, so definitely, if you haven't watched it, I hope and I'm sure that most of you would have watched it. But it's one of those movie. If you have missed it out, or if it's on your wish list, do watch it. It's an amazing crime thriller, and Tarantino still, I think, till date, he hasn't made such a film. So there are some good movies which has come up to this standard, like Django Unchained and Inglorious Bastards, but I think he's yet to outperform Pulp Fiction in writing. Basically, he got, in screenplay wise, narrative wise, he has had better movies, but in writing, especially the way the characters are written, amusing and clever and intelligent, I don't think he has outperformed Pulp Fiction yet. And many of you disagree, but then we all have different opinions. So that's as per writing. I think Pulp Fiction is the best from Tarantino, and there are other movies as well which are good from him. But Pulp Fiction stands out in the writing. I love Pulp Fiction just for the characters. So the way he created the characters, and the world automatically forms, and they meet, all these different characters meet each other, and you don't know, like this Vincent Vega character is like a intimidating hitman, but then he ends up dying in a very stupid and most silly manner, and that was kind of like, what the fuck moment. Like, we didn't expect him to be killed in such a way. So yeah, I have not revealed any story. I have told you how do you feel when you watch this movie, and I'm sure you would definitely have those feelings. Do watch it. It's an experience. It's a roller coaster ride, and expect the unexpected in Tarantino's movies. It's just even the character doesn't know what's going to happen, and he or she will try to bring something drastic and melodramatic. So yeah, hello Mango, how are you? Hi Vaishnav Shivaganesh, after a long time. Nice to see you. Thank you for dropping by. I hope you are doing well. Yeah, and the major thing is my next short film, Baby Blue, is inspired by Pulp Fiction. So I have a lot of references out there, and a lot of characters are also inspired by this film, especially the protagonist. So there, in my movies too, I do not have one protagonist. So I tend to have different characters and play with characters. That's more interesting than to have a single protagonist. Kindly Sriram. Hi, kindly Sriram. Nice to meet you. Thank you for dropping by. I'm seeing you for the first time. Hope you're doing good. And you're very kind, I think, because you have a prefix kindly. Yes, do watch it. It's an amazing movie, and the reason I did it right now because in a couple of weeks my next short film will be releasing, and it's inspired by Pulp Fiction, and I thought I'll do it, just to brush up Pulp Fiction. If you haven't watched, it's a 1994 movie. This generation may not have come across, but I hope you would have heard. It's like a case study. So for filmmaking students, people who want to become directors and actors, or movie maker in general, in anything, cinematography, or this is a case study. So we kind of tend to take Pulp Fiction and study it, like how it's made, how is the narrative structure, how is the performance, and how to tell a story, how to create a character. So it's that kind of movie which sets a standard, and I'm sure in 1990s this changed the grammar of filmmaking, Hollywood's grammar of filmmaking. Everywhere, I think in every industry, it's a common, what do you say, tradition that if one genre, one kind of genre, if one movie with one kind of genre gets popular and it's like box office hit, the others tend to follow the same thing. And Pulp Fiction is one such film which became a trendsetter with a non-linear narrative structure. And today we see that even in TV series and web series, we kind of see it's a very common standard now that it's we have this non-linear, which is like narratives changing between present and past, or present and future. So I think it's one of those movies that set this trend. And yeah, you always want to be trendsetter. You should be a trendsetter rather than a trend follower. So Tarantino is best, I think. Even the last film that he did, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you can still see the same thing. Character-oriented movies. So that's where you have the freedom to create multiple characters and play with them. So the story is just not. So when you want your movie to be great, you want all the characters in the movie to be great, not just one character, right? It's not like a commercial movie or mass hero movie where we glorify only one protagonist. It should be a complete, wholesome what do you say, world where every character is important and has some background plot, and he or she has his own plus and minus, and exploring that extreme side of these characters will tend to create an interesting movie. That's what most of the movies and what do you say, nowadays novels also doing that. So last movie, I think Bullet Train, Brad Pitt's Bullet Train, it was kind of having that Tarantino vibes. And when I dig deep, I think the director of the movie had worked with Tarantino, so you kind of get that Tarantino vibe in Bullet Train. And I watched it in IMAX. It was absolutely wonderful, Bullet Train. So watch that Bullet Train also. You too. Okay, I think I have covered all. I didn't decrypt. I just wanted to talk about Pulp Fiction. It's such a great movie. You don't have to decrypt. It's everything for you. The reason why you love it, it's characters. It's beautiful characters and the interaction between them. So the story is kind of something that the audience will stitch on their own. Like, okay, this was a story, and these characters were doing something. So he makes the audience kind of feel intelligent, and that's what you need to, either you need to fool your audience or you need to make them intelligent. So that's what Tarantino does in his movies, makes the audience feel intelligent. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the stream, and thank you so much for watching or watching Medley with Maddie. We'll soon catch up in another episode of Ticket to Movies. Until then, you're watching Medley with Maddie. Bye bye.